Good evening, one and all. See, we were discussing about political environment because we know that political environment includes political conditions, no? So that general stability and peace in the country prevails and the attitude of the elected government towards business, right? So that's the reason that we have seen our constitution, the preamble, the fundamental rights, and the fundamental duties, right? Now we shall see division of power. Yeah, division of power, that is union list, state list, and concurrent list. See, this division is done so that no, uh, what subjects could fall in which category. Who would pass the laws regarding these subjects. Based on this, division of powers is done. It divides the subjects into three lists. Okay, one is union list, which describes the subjects which are totally under the control of the central government, and the state list, which describes some subjects which comes under the jurisdiction of a state, and the state government passes laws regarding those subjects. And third one is concurrent list, which describes no those subjects which are under the joint jurisdiction of the central government and the state government. So under this union list, we have 97 subjects. So hence, no longest of all the three lists. Okay, and these subjects which are there, and whatever the policy matters they have to make on these subjects, they are being passed by the central government or union government or parliament. Okay, and the effective strength of this union list is now 98, and the main subjects under this union list, no, safety of the country, security of the country, so defense, foreign affairs, currency and coinage, war and peace, atomic energy, natural resources, railways, post and telegraph, citizenship, navigation and shipping, foreign trade, international state trade and commerce, banking, insurance, national highways, census, election, institutions of higher education and others. They all come under the subjects which the central government has to pass laws. So it's under union list. Then we have state list, which consists of 66 subjects. Name itself is suggesting that the state government alone can pass laws regarding these subjects, and these subjects are public order, police, state court fees, prisons, local government, public health and sanitation, hospitals and dispensaries, pilgrimages within India, okay, intoxicating liquors, relief of disabled and unemployable, libraries, communications, agriculture, animal husbandry, water supply, irrigation and canals, fisheries, road passenger tax and goods tax, capitation tax, and others. So all these subjects, they are done under the control of state government. Then we have concurrent list. Here, these subjects, both the union parliament or central government and state government or state legislatures, they have the power to legislate these or to make policies or laws relating to these subjects, which we call it as a concurrent list. So the main subjects are criminal law, criminal procedure, preventive detection for reasons concerned with the security of state, marriage and divorce, transfer of property and other than agricultural land, contract, auctionable wrongs, bankruptcy and insolvency, trust and trustees, administration of justice, evidence and oaths, civil procedure, contempt of court, lunacy, prevention of cruelty to animals, forests, protection of wild animals and birds, population control and family planning, trade unions, education, labor welfare, inland shipping and navigation, foodstuffs, price control, stamp duties, and others. Okay, so this all comes under the concurrent lists. Okay, if at all there is a conflict between the state law and the central in respect of these concurrent lists, then the central law prevail. Okay, that is unity and integrity, which is mentioned in the preamble. Okay. And the fourth, other than these three, whatever is left, whichever subject is left will be considered under residuary powers, and the constitution has power, okay, vest the residuary powers of legislation with union. So Article 248, what it is saying is the union parliament has exclusive power to make any law. So the Union Parliament has exclusive power to make any law with respect to any matter not enumerated either in the concurrent list or the state list. Okay. Such powers will include the power of making any law and imposing a tax not mentioned in either of these lists. So whatever the subjects which are not mentioned in state list and concurrent list will be taken by the union parliament, and that would be considered as a residuary power. So constitution is giving a clear cut division of what making laws, okay, that is legislative powers between union and the states. Okay, now we'll move to political environment. Okay, see, political environment refers to the actions taken by the government which potentially affect the daily business activities of any business or company. So whatever the policies the government makes, yeah, state or central and all, which is affecting the business activities of a enterprise or a company, then we call it as a political environment. According to Law Dictionary, such actions occur on a local or international scale, depending on the governmental institution's authority. So when a political institution is passing any new law, suppose, business must consider the impact it will have on their operations. So business, they have to think about what would be the impact of this particular law designed by the government on our business activities. So in yeah. So in some instances, we can say companies may need to develop new strategies or processes no, to in order to comply with initiatives imposed to legislative laws. For example, waste electric and electronic equipment regulations, whatever the wastages are there, then which are designed to reduce electronic wastage, going to landfill sites may force companies to change elements of their supply chain and manufacturing process in order to reduce the amount of waste produced. So it depends upon the waste electrical and electronic equipment regulations, what the government has imposed. So accordingly, they have to follow and then dispose of the waste electronic devices prevailing in their company. Okay. So this political system of any country, they have influence on political environment. See, political government system would definitely influence the business by in the form of political environment. Okay, so as no political systems, especially like democracies, they try to protect the rights of individuals and organizations more than any oppressive or dictatorship political systems. So consequently, the political environments in democracy, they tend to conform to what we can say higher standards of regulation and efficiency. other than whatever dictatorship or monarchy type of political system of any country. Okay, then while framing no the Indian constitution, the Constituent Assembly, they have worked very meticulously, we can say, to frame a system of governance in which no the powers confirmed to people would be vested, wouldn't be vested with a single person or institution. So what they have done, they have divided this principle of separation of powers, among most important pillars we can call: legislature, executive, and judiciary, right? So these are the pillars of democracy. So these three institutions we have to know when we have to learn about political involvement. First, we'll see what is legislature. Yeah, we know parliament, it's the most powerful institution, especially in democracy. Every aspect of business, from its no inception, from its birth till its winding up or death, we can say, is under the control of or under the laws to ensure that not only profit is earned in a fair way, in a justified way, but also ensure that the business interest and the interest of each person, each stakeholder, no, is protected, and the profits of business, they are distributed in a manner which is beneficial to the society. Okay, so in what ways they do: policy making, law making, approval of budgets, executive control, and lastly is to act as a mirror of public opinion. Okay, so each and every bill proposed by the executive has to be initiated, it should be discussed, it should be reviewed, it should be amended as and when the changes are needed, it should be amended and voted. Okay, the majority should say yes to it. So voted upon in the legislature. So ultimately, we can say that legislature decides which bills have to be or should be passed. The executive, what they do, they can just can bypass the legislature through ordinance, but the validity of this ordinance is for just 6 months only, and it has to be ratified again by the legislature. So that's the reason that it's a most powerful thing. Next pillar of democracy is executive. Executive, see here, government plays an executory role or executory body of whatever the laws passed by the legislature or framed by the legislature. The role of the government is now to shape, to direct, and to control all the business activities. We are talking about business and also in that sense only we'll be talking. So the role of the government is not to shape, to direct, and to control the business activities. The translation of the object of any law to the reality depends upon the law itself on its implementation. Prime Minister, along with his council of ministers, they for to them we can call it as a temporary executives. They implement the policies which are framed by the legislature. So they are elected every 5 years, and they are drawn from legislature. Civil servants and other officers, staff working under the government of India, they are all permanent executives. Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, they are temporary executives, whereas these are no IAS, IPS, and all these people, they are permanent executives. They are assigned the task of implementation of policies, right? Next, we have judiciary. See, it's a educating body, and Indian judiciary is an integrated and independent body, and they constitute Supreme Court at the top, at the helm of the affairs, and high courts, they are at the state level, and district courts at the district level. But they all come under Supreme Court. And judiciary, as I told you, is independent of the executive and legislature. Okay, and they have power, much power to review any law passed by the parliament, and can declare a law null and void also if it violates the constitution. So whole focus by the Supreme Court would be whether they are within the framework of the constitution or not. So they'll see that any law should not go against the constitution. It settles the disputes between employers and employees, disputes between employer and employer, disputes between employers and public, and employers and the. Okay, so these are the three institutions. So, whatever the impact of the political environment on business or service sectors, let us now discuss. See, the economic policies, they totally depend upon the political policies of a political party, because they have in their manifesto what to give, what not to give, right? So, political policies of a political party, okay? In this way, political party of any country is having impact on even business houses, because no, here in our country we have to follow socialistic pattern of society. Okay, uh, and any economic policy which is no industrial policy or foreign capital policy or fiscal policy and import policy, if they are framed, they should be following this socialistic pattern of society. Yeah, so a stable and dynamic political environment is a must for any economic growth. Okay, so depending upon the nature and stage of development of economy, the behavior of private sector and public sector, the political philosophy, social attitudes, administration system, they all would be controlling the economy of the state. So a well-planned economy may lead to a country on the path of development. States specifically, they play a vital role in planned economy or planned economy, how to use resources, yeah, in achieving the goal within the time frame set. Yeah, these are the basic things which we have to look for the proper development of economy and proper planning. Okay, so these are the impact, we can say, of political structure of any country on the business. Next, we shall move to Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. So if we cannot make India corruption free, yeah, then the vision of making the nation, developed by 2020 actually, but it will remain as a dream, what the Dr. APJ Kalam sir has said. Yeah, it would be waste, any development would be waste if we do not make our country corruption free. Yes, because the corruption is considered to be a great a hindrance or obstacle or impediment, we can say, on the way towards development of any country or in the progress of any country. The economic, social, and cultural structure of any country is very strong, but due to this big devil, we can call it a big menace, corruption, it is affecting, adversely affecting, and has become defenseless against the forces of this anti-social elements. So actually, what does this act do? It tries to explain, what does this law do is, the law defines who a public servant is, yeah, and punishes public servants involved in corruption or bribery. It also punishes anyone who helps him or her commit the crime or bribery. See, such a beautiful law, right? It tells who the public servant. He means a public servant. We are calling it a servant, not master. Whoever the government employees and all, right from IAS and IPS, they are all servants, servants to the public. They have to work for the benefit they can do to the public at their levels, right? So it is explaining who a public servant, how honest he should be, how to assist and do the work of the public uh, without no any problem to them. Yes, in case they are taking any money to do that work, then they have to be punished. Okay, so what crimes are punished by this law? We have to know. Number one is when a public servant accepts money or gifts, even gifts, over and above their salary in return for favoring a person in their official duties, that then he should be punished because he is taking money for that. Second one is when a public servant accepts gifts from a person with whom they have a business or official relationship without paying them. Yeah, without paying them, if they are taking them any benefit, then also they have to be punished. Number three, when a public servant is guilty of criminal misconduct, such as regularly accepting bribes to favor people during their official duty, then they have to be punished. If any person accepts money or gifts in return for influencing the public servant by using his personal connection or through illegal or corrupt methods, this person can also be punished. Okay. Any person helping the public servant commit these crimes can also be punished. So the law is very clear, the act is very clear that we have to prevent corruption. So that's the reason that, whenever you see a paper, you will see that ACB has raided so and so official public servant and got caught and all and is punished, and FIR is filed and all this. So this is due to this Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Okay, yeah. And the scope of this act, it extends to whole of India and to all the citizens of India. The definition is very clear about public duty and public servant. There is a difference between these two, public duty and public servant. Public duty means what? It is done for the benefit of the state, benefit of the public, or the community at a large. Okay. So when we talking about state, it would mean a corporation established by or under a central or provincial or state act, like for example, municipal corporation. Likewise, second is an authority or a body owned, controlled, or aided by the government company, as defined in Section 617 of the Companies Act 1956. This we call it public duty. Okay. See, public duty is what? It may be a corporation for which benefit is done at a larger scale, and it can be any body which is owned by the government company, and clearly it is defined in the Companies Act. That comes under public duty. Next we have public servant. See, its unique term, like anti-corruption law being the deciding factor as a threshold, okay, of one's liability. But here public servant we can define as, see, very clear it is from the definition under clause C of section 2 of the Public Servant Acts. The office bearers of the registered cooperative societies receiving any financial aid from the government or from a government corporation or company, the employees of universities, public service commission, and banks. They are all public servants. So in short, we can say all government employees, right? And under section clause, as I told, the public duty are not on the authority remunerating. The following genre persons fall within the ambit of public servant. Number one is any person who is paid by the government for taking services from them. Any judge or any person authorized by a court. Any person who holds the office, results to which he is empowered to prepare, publish, maintain, or revise electoral roll. So we can call election commission law. Yeah, any person who is president, secretary, or any other office bearer of a registered cooperative society. Any person who is a chairman, member, or employee of any service commission. Any person who is a vice chancellor. Any office bearer of an employee of any educational, scientific, social, cultural, and any other institution receiving any financial assistance from either central government or state government. Okay, in short, we can say that all government employees. Right. Now, offenses and penalties. See, taking gratification other than their salaries, they would be punishable with imprisonment, which shall not be less than 6 months, and which may extend to 5 years also, and even they are liable to fine. Number one, if they are influencing any public servant by corrupt or illegal means, they are punishable with imprisonment for a term which will not be less than 6 months. And this also may extend to 5 years, and also fine must be paid. Then abatement by public servant of offences, which are defined in section 8 and 9. They are punishable for an imprisonment same like less than 6 months, and it may extend to 5 years also, and they are liable to fine also. So like this, that means anything other than salary, any gifts taken for favoring their work, that would be punishable. So and major of this is either 6 months or it may extend to 5 years plus both this prison plus some fine. Now, matters to be taken into consideration for fixing fine, it again depends upon uh, investigation, number one, and even previous sanctions. And if they are accused, these three are considered. Okay. So when investigation is done in case of Delhi of an inspector of police, in metropolitan areas, it can be the assistant commissioner of police. This investigation can be done by not below the rank of, okay, and elsewhere by deputy superintendent of police. Previous sanctions in case a person who is employed in connection with the affairs of union or state and is not removable from his office, uh, save by or within the sanction of central government or state. And if it is accused, a person would be made into trial, and he shall not be called as a witness except his own request. His failure to give evidence shall not be made to the subject of any comment by the prosecution, and he shall not be asked, and if asked, shall not be required to answer any question. Okay, so these are there. Next, we have Prevention of Corruption Amendment Bill in 2013. See, it was 1988, and then some amendments, some changes were brought in 2013. See, the Union government approved amendments to the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 that provide for classifying corruption as a heinous crime and longer prison terms for both bribe giver and bribe taker. So a great change. Even bribe giver also is punished. The proposed amendment act will also ensure speedy trial limited to 2 years for corruption cases. Okay, so a huge change has happened in 2013. Yeah. So this bill was introduced by UPA government in Rajya Sabha, and the latest cabinet decisions further amends these bills based on the department related parliamentary standing committee, okay, and the Law Commission of India. Okay. Next very important thing is Consumer Protection Act 1986. See, as you all know, consumer is the focal point of any business activities. In fact, no, it is very basis, we can say, which supports the superstructure of all operations in the society. And what the consumers they expect is qualitative goods, reasonable prices, and the availability of their products at places wherever they go, isn't it? So, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, and as a buyer, the consumer should have the right to expect that he will get the right of the goods, that is quality, at a right time and at a right place, isn't it? So in fact, it is well known that the consumer, if he is mostly ignored or mostly harassed, then the most suffering of all would be a citizen, isn't it? So in India, a number of laws has been enacted in the field of especially consumer protection legislation relating to standardization, related to grading, related to packaging, related to branding, related to prevention of unfair trade practices, food adulteration, and likewise. Okay. But however, the laws do not seem to have kept or pace, we can say, with some of the sophisticated trade practices uh, in respect to consumers who needs protection. Okay, so all such problems have to be solved. So hence the government of India, they have come out with this beautiful act, that is Consumer Protection Act 1986. So this is, as you say, as I have told you, Act of 1986. Definitely, it is established in 1986. Yeah, and this act plays a very pivotal role, a very important role in what to develop provision with an aim to establish various consumer councils, especially the authorities of similar nature, to ensure that consumers' disputes are settled comprehensively. If any consumer comes with any problem, then that should be solved, with a detailed manner in a best possible way, with best possible resolution associated with that problem. Okay, so this act is providing a simpler and quicker access to redress any dispute, any consumer grievances. This act also promotes and protects the interest of consumers against deficiencies and defects of the goods and in services. It also seeks to ensure the rights of consumer against any unfair trade practices which may be practiced by the manufacturers and traders. So a consumer forum is set up to provide relief to both the parties and to discourage long litigation process, filing FIR, moving, taking the file from post to pillar, pillar to post, and all this has to be avoided, isn't it? So in a process called informal adjudication, forum officials, what they do, they mediate between the two parties, and they always first they try to make compromise between these two aggrieved parties. Okay. Then the act also implies to goods and services unless specifically exempted by the central government. It covers all sectors, private sector, public sector, or cooperative sector. And this act also has provisions for machinery, wherein consumers they can file any complaint, file their complaints, which will be heard by the consumer forums first with special powers, so that action can be taken against erring suppliers, and the possible compensation may be awarded to consumers for the hardships he has undergone. I'll give you a live example here. See, when we go to fill our tank with petrol for 5 liters, 1 liter, and all, you should observe in that area a can with a small hole. Yeah, that should be displayed in the petrol bunks. Okay, because the standards of ways and machinery department in every district it is. So what they do, they give it as a standard one. If you have got doubt that what you have paid for 1 liter is not being filled in your vehicle, then you can ask them to show in front of you and fill that can up to that hole on the top of that can. It is a 5 liters can. If it comes to that point, then the standard is good. You can feel happy that you got 1 liter of petrol. Okay. If not, you can file a case against them and you would be paid not only for the petrol, but even to the mental torture you have gone, because it may be an emergency for you to go to the hospital, but you are wasted, no, arguing with this. Even to that extent also, they'll pay you. So such a good act it is. This is Consumer Protection Act 1986. See, the structure of this Consumer Protection Act is number one, this is a three-tier quasi-judicial machinery at the national level, at the state level, and at the district level. Okay. And National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission is there, second. Then State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commissions are there. We call it as the State Commission. And we have district consumer disputes redressal forums. We call it as district forum. So this is the structure of Consumer Protection Act 1986. Then to what extent and coverage of this act is? See, this act applies to all goods and services unless specified by central government. Some exemptions are there for this, and that list is there with the central government. Apart from that, or except those, all the goods and services, they come under the umbrella of Consumer Protection Act. It covers all sectors, public, private, and cooperative. And the provisions of this act, they are compensatory in nature. That means you get compensation for sure. And the provisions of this act are in addition to and not in derogation of the provisions of any other law for the time being in force. Okay. And the act envisages establishment of consumer protection councils at central level, at state level. And the main objective no, is to protect and promote the rights of the consumers. So before we move to the rights and guarantees to our consumer, first we must know who a consumer is, isn't it? Yeah. Any individual who purchases products or services for his personal use and not for manufacturing or resale is a consumer. Okay. See, if I brought a land and made it to plots and then sold it, then that is no, I'm not a consumer there. Okay, but when I brought a land and constructed my own house and using for myself, then I'm a consumer. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. If I brought a cosmetic product and all and using for myself, then I'm a consumer. So consumer is such person. Okay, not for resale but using for personal use. A consumer is one who is decision making whether to buy an item or not to buy it. He can have a show, window shopping and all, right? Or someone who is influenced by advertisement and marketing and going and buying. He's influenced by the advertisement and going and buying. He's a consumer. So every time someone goes to a store and buys a shirt or a toy or any product, beverages or anything, they make a decision, right? As a consumer. So he's a consumer. So consumer here refers to any person who purchases some goods for a consideration that has either been paid or promised to pay, yeah, or partly paid and partly promised, or found under any system of deferred payment or installments like that, and does include any user of this type of goods other than the person who purchases these goods for consideration paid and all, and some agreement is done with that person, then we are calling that person as a consumer. Okay. So in simple words, a consumer is one who buys products for his own use, takes the services for his personal way. Yeah, then he's a consumer. Now, what are the rights and responsibilities of a consumer? So there are basic rights of consumer. That is, right to be protected against marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. So which endangers their life. They have the right to protect themselves from that particular product. Okay. Next is right to be informed. So first one is right to safety, isn't to be safe. He cannot buy hazardous items and make his life in danger, isn't it? So right to safety is first. Right to be informed. So that's the reason if you buy any product, every detail is written. What are the ingredients used, when it is manufactured, when is the expiry date, right? All these things. And keep away from the children, and it is not good for children, yes, under this age. Like every specifications is given on the, that means everything is informed. It is to be informed to the consumer. So right to be informed, especially about the quality, about the quantity, about the standard, about the price, yeah, and no unfair trade practice. Right to be assured, yeah, wherever possible, access to variety of goods and services at competitive prices. So he has got the right to choose many alternatives available in the market, isn't it? He got the right to choose among different alternatives. Next is right to be heard. Yeah, right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interests will receive due consideration at appropriate forums. So he should be heard at a district forum if any complaint is there regarding the quantity or regarding the quality or regarding the price. It should be heard. So there must be a system, like district forums, then state commissions, then national commissions. So like that, machinery should be there where the consumers' problems can be heard. Next is right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices, not just hearing their problems, but a solution must also be provided, right? And then right to consumer education. And not only this, consumers should be educated. So that's the reason that we celebrate Consumer Day. Yeah, and even the ninth class students, right from sixth standards, no consumer awareness is brought even in schools. Who the consumer is, if they face any problem, how they have to solve. See, when I taught to my son, I have given him the right to be informed and fair and reasonable prices in all these things. See, once he has gone to a nearby store and brought a water bottle. Okay. It costs around 12 rupees as such, but the storekeeper, he has taken 20 rupees. He was very young and all. He said, no, why? Why you are taking, it's written MRP is 12 and you are taking 20 rupees. Why is it so? So he said, I have kept it in the refrigerator and it is getting cool. So I have to pay electric bill of my refrigerator and hence I am taking 8 rupees extra. He said, where it is written? It's not there, no? And he argued and all because he got no consumer education. I have educated him about how who a consumer is and how what rights he has. Then he argued with him. Then he said, it's not a matter of 8 rupees. Let's go and inform. So then he said, okay, okay. Then he gave him 8 rupees back. So that's how consumer education will help consumers not to be cheated by any supplier or storekeepers. So that's the reason that in school education also consumer education is being provided. Even see, we are also reading now about Consumer Protection Act. So so that no, our rights are guaranteed. We can enjoy the rights as a consumer, right? Okay. Yeah. Then not only rights, we have consumer responsibilities also. That is, we have to refer, no, what it is the responsibility having awareness about the quality and safety of goods and services while purchasing, and responsibility to collect information about a product or service and update ourselves with any innovations taking place in the market. So it's our responsibility as a consumer also that we should need to know about consumer education. And when we are buying a product, we should see the price of it, the quantity of it, the quality of it. Yeah, if you get any doubts, you should able to question them, and don't forget to take the bill whenever you're buying a product, especially medical and all, right? So you would be on the safe side. So this is a consumer responsibility, and they have to question themselves: do you seriously need this product? Okay, the time period for which this certain product is made, do you expect this item would last for the time which is given on the label? Yes. Will my health get worsen if I use this product? You have to question like that. Then you'll become aware of your rights. Okay, so these are your basic responsibilities. So where actually the consumers are exploited. Yeah. Number one is selling at a higher price. So as I told you, the example of water bottle, 12 rupees, but being taken 20 rupees. So there they are cheated. Yeah, selling at higher prices is one case where they are exploited. Product risk. So those drugs, which are hazardous, which are banned, whose expiry date is over, and electric appliances, with inadequate safety things or the safety precautions. There also you are being cheated. Next is adulteration. Yes, this has become very common nowadays because it's a summer and we buy watermelon and all. So they are injecting some red color into it so that it should look as very freshy and all, no? And we'll buy it. So that's an adulterated one. And even this pepper and all, they are using papaya seeds and they are selling it. So these are all adulteration. We are cheated, especially in food items, so which are very injurious to one's health. We should be very careful. Then is substandard products, so which the quality they have to maintain, but they are not maintained, substandard. Then false claims, okay, especially through advertisements and all. They claim that this particular oil will, no, will cure your baldness, or use a company fairness cream and you say, yeah, in 1 or 2 day or in within a one you become very fair and all. So such typical examples are there which are misleading, misleading consumers. Okay, you consumers are being cheated by these misleading advertisements. And sometimes the warranty and annual may, when the problem arises, the consumer he goes to them, but it will not be recovered. So these are the ways in which our consumers are cheated. Okay. Yeah, measures initiated by the governments towards consumer protection. So we all know that government, they are playing a vital role for the production, for the protection of consumers. It has enacted many laws, many legislations. Okay, among them, no, first one is statutory regulation, wherein no government play a vital role in consumer protection. Yes, so many laws relating to it are passed. We can just read out this. Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1974. Yeah, this act would be seen with all the food items which should not be adulterated. Yeah, which should be clean, qualitative, and all these things, right? Which would be helpful to the health of the consumers. Essential Commodities Act. So they'll be looking about essential commodities, uh, like food, clothing, shelter, and kerosene, gas, and all these things. Then Agricultural Produce Grading and Marketing Act, all the agricultural products. Drugs Control Act, they look after no expiry date and what ingredients are there, whether they are good for the health of the consumers or not. That is there. Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So cosmetics, if they apply any no side effects will be there, that they control it. Standards of Weights and Measures Act. I have given you the example of a petrol, isn't it? That this is the act which is helping us, weights and measures. So then we have Drugs and magic remedies, objectionable advertisement act. So any objectionable advertisements are there, you get and when you are cheated by that advertisement which has misled you, then you can have a remedy. Then Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, Prevention of Black Marketing and Maintenance of Essential Commodities Act, and Air Prevention and Control and Pollution Act. So besides these, we have MRTP Act also, Monopolistic Restrictive Trade Practices Act, which was passed in 1969, especially to check any monopolistic or restrictive trade practices. So above all these things, oh, so many acts are there, but the topmost is the act which is passed in 1986, that is Consumer Protection Act. Under this, consumers have the rights, as I told you, right to safety, right to be informed, right to be heard, right to be redressed, all these things. Yeah, to approach consumer forum or commission set up at any level, district or state or nation, and they can be addressed and they get even compensation. Okay. So these are the main objectives of Consumer Protection Act: physical protection of the consumer, protection against deceptive and unfair trade practices, protection against all types of pollution, air, water, and all these things, protection against the abuse of monopoly position and or restrictive trade practices, and protection of enjoying the rights, all the rights. Okay. So this is the objectives of Consumer Protection Act. So we have here now consumer. Before that, we would be knowing no Production Act jurisdiction and objective before we proceed with this protection councils and all. See, objectives of this are very clear. Yeah, we have this protection councils. Number one is Central Consumer Protection Council, section 4 to 6 is dealing with this, and State Consumer Protection Council, section 7 to 8, and District Consumer Protection Council, section 8A and section 8B. Okay, yeah. See, the central government shall by notification, what they do, they establish with an effect from such date and as it may give as per the notification, especially the Central Consumer Council. And who are the, no, what it, who would be there in this council? One is the Minister in charge of Consumer Affairs, the Ministry of Consumer Affairs at central government. He would be the chairman. And second, under him would be such members of other official or non-official members representing such interest as may be prescribed. Okay, whatever the central government says, he should have an interest in consumers, working for NGO in consumer protection, they can take them as a member. So, but the chairman would be the Minister of Consumer Affairs. Now, procedures for meetings in the Central Consumer Protection Council is they meet as and when required, but at least one meeting will be held every year. Okay. And they meet at the time and place where chairman thinks appropriate. Okay. So here we will meet, then they'll meet there. Okay. And the business transactions, he decides what things would be taken care of. And the main objectives of this central council is they should protect the right to be protected against the marketings of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. The main first thing. The right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard, and price of goods and services. They'll be dealing with this. Okay. And third is the right to be assured wherever possible access to variety of goods and services at a very competitive rates. Okay, reasonable rates and different alternatives available of that product. Right to be heard to be assured that consumers' interests will receive due consideration at district forums and state commissions. The right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices. And the main importance is right to consumer education. In short, whatever the rights of consumer protection are there, they are taken carefully by the Central Consumer Protection Council under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs at the central level. Okay, so you should remember that. Next is State Consumer Protection Councils. The state government, again by notification and all these things would be there. And here the state council consists of members. Here the minister of in charge of consumer affairs in the state government. Okay, so here at the central level, Minister of Consumer Affairs, state government. Okay, and here state governments in charge of consumer affairs, and again same non-official or official members who represents and having interest in protecting the consumers. Consumer protect if they are having interest in consumer protection, those people are involved. Okay, and the main objectives of the state council, again apart from these, they shall establish a district, okay, district consumer protection council. And here the collector of the district would be the chairman and other members who are interested in consumer protection. And the district council, they will meet every year, and at least 2 meetings they should have. Okay, and the district council shall meet at a time and place where the chairman would think that, yeah, we will discuss these transactions and this place and this time, you should all assemble there. Then they will meet. And the main objective of this district council is to promote protection within the district. Okay, and the rights of consumers which are led, as I told you, all the 6 rights and all. Yeah, offense and all. Then we shall see the consumer disputes redressal agencies. Yeah, these are councils, and then we have agencies, right? One is Central Consumer Protection Council. Here, by notification, they all give, and again, central government uh, would be dealing with it. Okay. Next